The coronavirus.
It's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear.
So mind you, Trump said that, but more people have died so far under Biden than under Trump. So you take that with a grain of salt. So we're going to do this special.
Some people died as a matter of choice, but you know.
Oh yeah, some people were like, I don't want to get the vaccine, and then now their kids have no father anymore. So
hashtag hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, so there you go. That's what's going down. Fox will have you on the show saying that you don't want the vaccine, and you die, and Fox just forgets about you. So
and then they get mad at anybody that doesn't feel sympathetic.
So this is a report from fucking last year. That, obviously your public officials don't give a shit about you.
New York City's the worst offender.
They don't give a shit about you because Eric Adams is like, you need swag to get through the dirty ass subway air. That's what it takes to get through the. You need swagging it out. Go back to work. Go back to the office and sniff up that poo poo air.
You know what doesn't have swagger? Fucking lung cancer. The fuck.
So we're gonna scroll this down and get guys. So air pollution in subway systems across the northeastern United States is unsettlingly high. Scientists reported on February 10th last year. So the researchers sampled air at subway stations across New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. metropolitan areas and found particulate concentrations that were generally 2 or 7 times the Environmental Protection Agency daily recommended limit. So pretty much every time you go on the subway, you get 2 to 7 times the limit of the EPA's safety limits of the kind of air quality. So you're literally poisoning yourself every time you're in the subway.
Does it look like I smell something bad?
So New York was the worst offender with the airborne particle levels in one exceptional station. So one station had the worst station in any other reported subway station in the world. One station, what station is that? Damn. I want to know.
It's the one that's closest to us. Because sometimes, when you're down there, man, it's like you see all kinds of weird colors, fucking collecting from the ceilings, from the top, the tunnels and shit. You see all kinds of weird colors.
Okay, I found it.
Fluids.
So the most disturbing of all is the PATH's Christopher Street Station. So if you're not from New York, I don't know if you know what the PATH is. The PATH subway system is it connects you to New Jersey and New York, and all the boroughs, Hoboken and Jersey City gets on it on Saturday nights. So that's why it's the most contaminated station in the world right now. So
wait, isn't that the one that was also near where the towers fell?
Oh yeah. But this is fucking 20 years later. So
but it's still fucked down there. People are still dying from the shit that they inhaled down there.
I don't think it's an excuse anymore at this point. I think it's just nasty air. This is there before. It's there right now. Nasty air. So I want to. So okay. So the next question is how long do I have to be on this ride to be contaminated by this horrible weather, air quality? So Gordon and his team estimated that if a subway pollutants has similar toxicity to other surface particles, a commuter who spends 15 minutes a day at the Christopher Street Station and 40 minutes riding the PATH train could face an 11% increase in the risk of dying of cardiovascular problems.
That's
40 minutes. That's all it takes. 40, and they want everyone to go back to work. And get that 11%, higher and higher every day. So that's a virus in itself too. That mentality of everybody back to the office, even though there's no real reason or benefit to doing so. So in the meantime, Gordon says wearing a mask, particularly one that is designed to prevent the inhalation of airborne particles, as N95 respirator. So they was talking about N95 respirators fucking last year just to get on the fucking subway. Forget, they're not even talking about the coronavirus. They're just talking about just get on the fucking subway. You need an N95 mask. So this article is really wild to me. So people are like, what particles are you talking about? So I want to switch to another article about actual like the particles, and then we can play a quick video of it. So this is what I was thinking
Particles
about.
of pain.
I mean,
That's what it is.
If a 40-minute ride increases, I mean, might as well just start smoking cigarettes. What the fuck is that about?
Oh no! People wonder why I prefer to drive.
That is crazy.
By myself.
So smokestacks is a familiar sight to city dwellers in the form, blah 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 blah. But troubling high levels of very fine particulate pollution known as PM
2.5. Yep.
So what is that?
Yeah, so like there are particles that are like this PM like 10, PM 2.5 to PM 5, PM 1.0, and then they have like, you know, these super small particles, I guess, that are like more along like the sizes of like viruses and shit like that.
Yeah.
So when you get an air purifier, it'll be rated for, you know, being able to clear, you know, a certain amount of particles out of the sky, out of the air, and it will clear them out in like different intervals. So
this hurts my lungs just listening to you, and like this sentence hurts my lungs. It says the fine particle pollution on subways is not the same that comes out of automobile tailpipes. It's largely created by the friction of steel wheels against steel rails and the black carbon generated by the constant grinding of brakes. That just shreds my lungs up. There's reading that sentence, yo. Oh my god. Yo. Oh,
breathe
god.
it in.
Oh.
Breathe it in. All of the microscopic metal shards.
yo, son. Elevated levels of iron, magnesium, and chromium, heavy metals, more destructive than the usual fossil fuel emissions to the lungs.
Heavy metal.
So the subway is more destructive than like putting your mouth over a muffler. So that is wild to me. And they're telling you to just get back to work. Forget about the pandemic. Don't wear a mask. You don't need a mask anymore. So I want to play a clip from this quick video so you guys can check this out. Guys, think about this. Shout out to
So
Twitch
we're here to talk about air pollution on the London Underground. You have been down in the tunnels with this amazing tray to measure the air
Shout
quality.
out to Xenon.
Tell me what exactly you've been doing and what you've been measuring.
That's right. I've spent the last 2 weeks going to more than 100 stations in Zone 1 of central London with these two monitors. These are two different types of air
Why does she
pollution
have a
sensors.
mask on?
So we focused on PM 2.5.
So this is actually London, and London is not even the worst corporate. New York City is. So we're going to see how London does with this.
Which is about a 30th of the width of a human hair.
And PM 2.5 is so small that it can pass through your lungs into your bloodstream, and it's linked to all types of inflammation, heart disease, stroke, lung cancer. Let's go down and see what the readings are like underground. So did you notice a personal difference in your own health doing this project?
I definitely felt very dehydrated after spending a long time underground. So we're just going down the escalator and the reading is really jumping.
So tell me where you took these measurements and what did you find?
So I went to every station within this yellow circle line in Zone 1. What I found was that this red line, the central line, was the worst. The light blue one, the Victoria, was also pretty bad. And these black bits, which are the northern line, were also very polluted. And all three of those are the kind of very deep, old tube systems.
So basically bad, worst,
Does the
and worst.
construction of the tunnels make a big difference to the quality of the air?
The tunnels that are very old and very deep weren't built with very many ventilation shafts. and that makes it hard for fresh air to get down into the system. The tunnels that were actually the first that were built for steam trains. They were the first trains from the underground. And so
yeah, I remember the people building that just fucking died and just like kind of buried their bodies next to it, kept it moving.
You have to use their bodies to like uphold the structure of the tunnel.
they actually did
Just put
have
them
quite
in
a
the
lot
wall.
of ventilation because the smoke from the train had to escape.
And there's two types of tunnels in the underground system, correct?
So there's the deep tube, and those are the lines like the Northern Line, the Victoria
deep
Line,
tube.
that are up to 50 meters underground. Then there are also the cut and cover lines, and they're much, much shallower. And parts of those are overground. It's things like Metropolitan, Circle, Hammersmith and City.
And what's the reading right now?
Right now it's fluctuating around about 80.
So does it get worse as the train comes by?
Yeah, it tends to get worse because all the dust and dirt from the tunnel gets brought into the station.
So what do we think is in the air that is contributing to this pollution?
There's a high concentration of metals, things like iron and nickel, and that's because the friction of the wheels on the rails and the brakes on the wheels splinters off little tiny, tiny invisible particles and gets into the air.
Oh my god.
But then there are also things like
never
skin
thought about
cells,
this.
little bits of
Me
hair,
either.
bits of fiber from people's clothing.
But you know that subway smell? Now
Yeah.
we know what creates that
Risen
subway
quite
smell.
a
Yeah.
bit since we entered the carriage.
Yeah, I don't know if that's because we're near an open window and we're going through the tunnel and all the dust is getting churned up and coming into the carriage.
So
Oh
the
my
safe
God,
limit
it's worse
that
inside
the
the
WHO
train.
has set is about
Man,
25
how is anybody alive?
micrograms per cubic meter, and the readings that we're seeing here are consistently 3 or 4 times that level.
3 or 4 times.
So what did TfL say when you told them about your findings?
TfL say that they think the air underground is safe.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
It fits
they
within
about to tell her
the
to go
UK's
fuck
health and
herself.
safety guidelines, which they have to abide by law. But they did also say that they know there's a problem in terms of the cleanliness underground, and they're trying a lot of new
That looks
things,
real clean to
piloting
me.
cleaning projects.
It's like grandma's
They
house.
actually
it's
invited
clean
us
dirt.
underground to see what these cleaning operations
Those are
look
clean
like.
metal
We went with one of
shavings.
their cleaning teams, and they work between about midnight and 5 in the morning. And it's teams of about 10 people. They have hoovers, scrapers, brushes, and they literally walk along the tracks
They're doing a
when the
great job.
electricity is turned off, cleaning up
Yep,
the
they
dust,
stir it up into
scrubbing
the
away,
air.
trying to get rid of all of the dirt and the matter that's around and that gets into the air.
And does cleaning the tunnels have a big impact on the air quality?
They don't even do that in New York City.
TfL hopes that it
Fuck.
will. There have been a couple of different
These are doing
trials.
a bare
Some have
minimum,
found that
damn.
actually it made the pollution worse because it kind of stirred up all of this dust that was trapped in, little grooves under the rails and little bits in the tunnel.
Oh,
But they're hoping
shit.
that in the long run, if they do enough cleaning and they remove enough of the dirt and the dust, that it will have a good
They
long-term
need some
effect.
fucking Dyson air purifiers. Just set them shits up in there.
So what we found is that the air on the underground really is very polluted. There's a lot of particulate matter down here. What is less clear though is what the impact of that is on people's health. The particulate matter found underground is very different from what you find in the street. There's a lot more iron, there's a lot more metallic
Oh my
stuff
God.
in it. And there hasn't been so much research done about
The
what
fact they say that it's worse than automobile pollution worries the shit out of me.
So does that mean that you are technically a cyborg if you take the subway every day?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because you are part man, part metal shavings.
Yeah. You go to the airport security. Boop, 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 boop. Sorry, I took the
Yeah.
A train. I took the A train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot take my lungs out of my body and put it
So
in
we know
X-ray. I'm
the air
sorry.
is really bad, but we don't know
Your socks
exactly
off,
what that
your
means
shoes.
for the health impacts. And that's one of the questions that scientists are racing to find out.
Yeah, but
Imagine-
try to force everybody to take public transportation.
And mind you, that's the London tube, and that's not New York City is the worst polluter. Subways, worst pollution ever in the New York City. Christopher Street Station has the worst pollution in the world. So
I haven't
stay away from it, please. Stay away from the subway.
I haven't been in the subway in over 6 years, and maybe that might save me from a bad diagnosis or something. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? But
Yeah, seems the case.
I'm not interested. I'm not interested Eric Adams, you go down there by yourself.
And call
Breathe
the
it
cops.
in.
Call the cops and someone getting beat up.
While you down there by yourself. Plant some evidence on those trains,
Just to
on
show
those
you.
metal shavings.
Yeah, that was crazy. So I just want to highlight, why mask wearing is outside of coronavirus. It's more than this coronavirus. Mask wearing, you take care of yourself, you take care of your community. You get less colds, you get less metal shavings in your lungs.
Less carbon from the brakes. You get less brakes in your lungs.
Shit, break your life.
Yep.
Break your heart in your lungs. So
put a stop to it.
Remind you, there's a giant report came out that casually came out like it was nothing. Like it was just kind of like, hey, good morning. It was kind of like it said half the country IQ was lowered because lead and gasoline.
Exposure to lead. Yeah.
So it's like, just letting you know, half the country has mental, the cognitive abilities have been lowered because of lead everywhere. But anyway, as I was saying,
did they say which political party?
Half the country that's half the country, yo. So now you have them telling you to go take the subway and go back to your office and be depressed in your cubicle. So good luck with that.
Yeah, no thanks.
So
next.
Exactly. So that's special the virus segment. It's showing you that watch out for the new variant, the BA2 variant.
And watch out for the carbon breaks.
Yeah,
the shavings variant in your lungs.
So like next time you're in the subway, you smell that homeless guy. The homeless guy smell might be protecting you from the shards. At this point,
that was depressing. Yeah, I mean, I didn't need that visual. Pretty sure the viewers didn't need that. Where's the wrap it up box when you need it?
Exactly. So that was like kind of like a future stuff in some ways. So that's Black Power Magic Hour on Twitter, on Twitch. We are live on Facebook. That fucking segment definitely gave you the nasty face, the lemon.
That
face.
shit smelled terrible, son. Oh shit!
So that is the virus.